Look at this, I can just slide all over Susano. Oh, these potentials are so fun. Oh, is that your counter? Sorry, no, it's my counter now. Hello everyone, and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a Hakumen run to finish off all of the character commentaries. I'll most likely be doing a second round of either some of them or all of them, so I'm not done quite yet, but this will be done, or this will be the last of the first series at least. Before I go into the Mind Crystals, real quick, I want to say thanks to everyone that's been watching, liking, subscribing, any of those things. Helps out a lot when you subscribe or leave likes, and I really appreciate all of the positivity that people have been leaving in comments. Just either saying that I'm doing a good job, that I'm underrated, or just also another thing I like hearing is that people have been able to learn different things off of my videos. Because that was kind of my goal going into the commentary, is that I like teaching people about the characters or teaching people about different mechanics of the game. I just enjoy talking about things like that. So, huge thanks to everyone, either for likes or comments or subscriptions. Anything you do really helps out. So, the only thing for Hakumen that really stands out compared to other characters is that I really like to take the expanded foundation on him for extra max MP. Hakumen relies on his MP for his safety rather than his dodge button, and I'll go into that once we actually start his gameplay. I'll be taking Infiltration again, just because I'll be doing damage from multiple sources. I'll be doing a little bit of attack damage, but most of it will be skill damage and tactic damage. So it makes more sense to take Infiltration rather than taking both Domination and Straightforward. I'll be reducing the enemy damage down to 0 for this one. Hakumen can definitely clear all the way maxed out enemy damage. It's just a little bit trickier than other characters. At least for me, I'm not very good at this, or I'm not as good at this style of character. I don't usually tend to play this style of character. And it's also kind of difficult to go from other characters to Hakumen. Let me make sure all my recording stuff is set up properly, and then we'll be good to go. So Hakumen's dash button works different than any other character in the game. One of the things, as you can see here, is I'm able to dash into enemies and push them around and deal damage to them. This is why the tactic setup works so well with Hakumen. Also, as my first potential, I always like to get either dashing travels a longer distance, or dashing, you can dash 3 times. Hakumen has very, very low mobility, so having one of those to help with the mobility helps out a lot, at least for me. And then in this case, where I'm using the dashes as my main damage source, having upgrades to that just makes my damage better too. Anyways, the other thing of Hakumen's dash, and why he can be very hard to switch to from other characters, is that Hakumen's dash does not actually have dodge frames like every other character does. So you don't want to take Jin's legacy passive, or S's legacy passive either, because you won't be able to utilize those. Instead, he only gets super armor on them, which super armor just means that if an enemy attacks you, you don't take any hit stun, so it doesn't cancel the dash, and you keep moving and you keep attacking. So that's one of the things that can make it very difficult. You learn on every single other character that if you're in trouble and you need to avoid damage, then you hit the dodge button. But on Hakumen, that button is your skill button instead. So when you press the skill button, you'll go into a blocking stance, and then you can either press the attack button, or you can block a hit. As soon as you do that, I'm really surprised that worked. That hit me at, like, just the right angle to actually work. But anyways, as soon as you get hit by an attack, or you press the attack button, you'll do a blink across the screen and deal damage. So instead of dodging attacks, you're blocking and countering them with Hakumen. You have to be pretty careful about when you're using the version of it where you input attack to use the blink instead of blocking, because it uses more MP when you do that. And you don't want to ever really be running out of MP on Hakumen, just carelessly at least. So the other thing that if you ever see this on Hakumen, just pick up the Genrai. There's no reason to ever not take it. It's his SP skill, and it is one of the most powerful SP skills in the game. I blocked too late there. So another thing that you need to know is that the regular version of your block, you can't block attacks from behind. It looked like I did in that last area, but it was just like the perfect angle for the enemy to throw the attack where it just barely hit the front of my shield. So not being able to block from behind without the potential for it is one of the things that makes certain rooms very difficult for Hakumen. If there's a room where a lot of ranged enemies are spawning, and they're spawning on both sides of you, then you can really easily start to take some damage. Also, his form of safety being tied to MP can also be a problem, especially if you're not taking extra starting MP. Oops, There was exactly what I was talking about with muscle memory. I went to dodge an enemy attack, and instead of hitting the dodge button, instead of hitting the skill button, I hit the dodge button first, and it made it where I was too late by the time I actually did hit the skill button. So if you want to, you can also go into the down plus dash input with this build. It works the exact same way, where when you dash, it applies the burning, and then the attack is the blink itself. That will apply the fire spirits for you. I like the regular dodges a little bit more, but the blinks can also be used on their own or with the dodges. So right there, what are a couple things that just happened is another one of the reasons why Hakumen can be a bit difficult on certain stage layouts, especially. Another thing that Hakumen does differently than every other character is that you cannot cancel his... You can't cancel his dodges. So normally with any other character, if you press the dodge button and then you press the jump button, you'll be able to stop your dodge at any point and go into the air. Hakumen just cannot do this at all. He's locked into the entire duration of the dodge. So in certain room layouts especially, it can be hard to proc the fire spirits. Or just even if you're not running a dash build, the dash itself is very good for pushing a bunch of enemies together. And then there's a similar thing with his counter as well, where his counter is going to go a set distance, and you have to be very careful about it not putting you onto spikes or like a really bad area at the end of it. No matter how many runs I do in this game, those worm enemies are always going to be, like, the bane of my existence. I don't know why they feel so annoying to fight. Well, I know why, and the answer is they have permanent super armor. So we'll try taking this upgrade. I've never actually really been able to see much of a difference of having it or not. This should give his dodges a little bit of invincibility frames. But right there is one case where I've talked about in some other videos. It actually does matter. Oh, shit. That was really bad. And that's exactly what I was just talking about. His dash putting you in really bad situations. Now, that's definitely my own fault. It's not the character's fault, but it's something that wouldn't have happened if I was playing on a different character. Now I completely forgot. I was talking about something else before that, and I don't know what I was saying there. The jump attack I find is really useful on Hakumen as well, just as a general way of being able to get damage out from range, and it's a fast source of attacking. This is a hard choice. I also like this because it lets you attack immediately out of your airborne attacks or after dashing. I'll get this one first. I should be able to probably get both. I'm not sure which one of these is technically better. I think it's probably the Death Escapes, but I'll go with this one. So that potential that I just got, you can now attack directly out of your dash, will be a pretty good, it's a good way of making him a lot funner to play, and it'll increase your damage output as well. So what I do is I just dash and do the first input of my attack. You can attack, chain it into the rest of your attack strings, but it's much quicker just to do the attack. You can actually get some really interesting stuff off of this by having the triple dash and the where you can attack directly out of it. I like to call it the Hakumen slide. No idea why, but that's the name I've given to it. There's a version of it you can get as well with the charged version of the attack. Do I care about these? Not really. But I'm only getting 80 for discarding tactics, so it's not as useful as some of the other videos that I've done. You can also go into Universal Enhancement. It says you take less damage when having super armor and then even less damage. I haven't really seen a huge difference between having it or not, but I guess we'll go ahead and try it out anyways. So for this boss, a really easy way of getting your Genrai counter off is by making use of the tornado. It's really easy to predict when it's going to come and hit you, and it's just a free counter. And I think Genrai is pretty much his main source of boss damage, but basically anything you do on this character will just do a ton of damage. He moves slowly, so he has very high base damage to make up for it. So something to pay attention to if you get this potential. It says press attack again before the end of a blink to blink again. What the game doesn't tell you, though, is that you're going to be using 50 MP for every additional dash. And I feel like that's really not something you want to be doing on Hakumen, unless you know you have the damage to finish off an enemy with it. It's like I said before, Hakumen's skill and his MP is his source of safety from enemy attacks. So if you're just randomly dumping all of your MP into something like that, then you're not going to be very safe for a lot of the fight until your MP starts regenerating. So another thing I picked up as a potential now is that I can do the heavy attack, or the charged attack, directly out of my dashes now. To get that one, you need the heavy attack upgrade that says it skips the initial attack, or something along those lines. I feel like you get a lot more distance when you do this too, for some reason. Where you move faster. I might be wrong, but it really feels faster. And then I think another thing you want to take anytime you see it is just being able to block attacks from behind. That's never going to be a bad potential. So now I can basically just slide around the map, flashing everything as soon as it spawns. I don't know who gave Hakumen a pair of ice skates, but I guess he's a ice skater now. If there was like some kind of new game plus option where you could go through a run as like having the end game version of your character where you have all your potentials and tactics, everything already set up from a previous run, then Hakumen would be a much more enjoyable character to me. I enjoy him a lot if I'm getting the right potentials, and once I've got a couple of them, it's just his early game is the thing that I always really dread when I'm playing him. I might as well go ahead and pick up the other universal enhancement. Something to keep in mind too, though, is that you're not going to be able to really gauge how much that universal enhancement is doing based on this run, because remember I took the black market upgrade where no hit can deal over 20% of my HP. So if I take like a really big boss hit or something and it looks like I took almost no damage, it definitely could be from that instead of my super armor universal enhancement. So I probably shouldn't have even bothered to take those, but oh well. I don't really need a ton of specific potentials on Hakumen anyways, so I don't really care either way. These type of room layouts can be some of the ones that are really difficult for Hakumen, where there's a lot of verticality to it, and there's a lot of ranged enemies spawning. That one wasn't too bad, but there's a version of that stage where you have to survive for a certain amount of time, and that one is pretty difficult as Hakumen. Oh, not this again. I got this on the stream, too, when I was playing Hakumen. I don't know why that stage takes so long to clear. I don't know what it is about Hakumen specifically, but I've been getting some extremely cursed runs on him. I've had a couple runs where I have only like one tactic of the type that I want by the time I'm in the third area. And then I had a run on stream where I just That was stupid. Why did I... Oh well. We're just gonna pretend that didn't happen. I had a run on the stream where I just died to something completely invisible, and I'm not even sure what it was. Why did those aim down? Huh? Oh, that fight was rough. That's one of those things where me not having a whole lot of practice on Hakumen really shows. I wasted my Genrai counter. It was either one or two of them, I don't even remember at this point. But I wasted my Genrai counters on attacks where he was either flying off the screen so the attack missed, or the second counter I just whiffed completely. Now I remember. And then I wasn't really sure when to be using my counters. I'm so used to just dodging through the projectiles and the explosions that it kind of confused me in that boss fight. But even with that, I was able to make it through the fight at least. I think a lot of that was due to the black market thing I have, though, where I only take up to 20% health. That black market upgrades... What the hell, game? Well, I guess we're waiting here until my tentacles... Thank God that the tentacles have such a long spawn range. They can even attack enemies off screen like that. If I didn't have the tentacles there, I would have just had to reset. Apparently, either like I didn't kill some of the enemies in the first room, or enemies spawned off screen or flew down there somehow. I couldn't see what enemies were down there. I could just see like a sliver of the health bar. Ooh, here's another example of a room that's really not fun to play on Hakumen. You got ranged enemies on all sides of you, and then the shielding enemy that you have to take out before you can get to any of the ranged enemies. And the room layout, too, just doesn't contribute anything good to it. Hakumen's really great at covering distance on flat maps, but as soon as you get maps where you have to start traveling vertically, then that all goes away. Most of the regular room layouts are manageable as long as you pay attention to what you're doing. The rooms that are especially really difficult are the ones that you need to survive for 45 seconds. Because those ones tend to spawn much harder enemy waves. And that's just because you're supposed to be surviving through them. You're not supposed to be clearing them, I guess. One thing you do have to be careful about is using his heavy attack when you don't have, like, the longer range dashes or the triple dashes or blinks to follow them up, is that his heavy attack really does knock enemies a long ways away. If you're playing on higher entropy settings, you're definitely going to want to be learning to use the counters with him a lot more often than I am. I don't really have to worry too much about taking enemy damage since they're dealing a lower amount of damage and I'm able to heal it back. Now, it's gonna look weird here. I'm gonna take the exchange, even though I have 10 exchange points. I don't really need the rest healing, and this bottom stage is most likely going to be a combat stage, which is gonna make me run out of the only 37 seconds I have left. So I might as well come here, make use of my discount, and then just leave. It looks strange, but there's a perfectly good reason for it. Otherwise, I would be going into this boss fight with already having my HP draining. Maybe the invincibility frames are a lot more noticeable than I had originally thought. I'm definitely seeing them here. The invincibility frames I'm talking about are the ones I picked up with my potential upgrade. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, not bad at all. And then I completely mess up the easiest part of all. All I had to do was hit counter there. I waited just a little bit too long. Oh well. If you're going into Frost, this is probably also one you want to think about getting, especially if you're using your counters a lot more often in regular rooms than I am. It makes them deal damage multiple times, which makes it stack Frost and just deal more damage in general. You could go with a similar tactics that I used with S, which is Frost Burst and with the Frost Impulse Red. You'd have to make sure you started with Frost Impulse though, since you wouldn't be able to pick it up with Skill Frost in the middle of the run. I actually managed to make it in Omega Sector with exactly 0 exchange points. That's not something you really see too often. Holy cow! I got like the best Omega Sector layout too, it looks like. I wonder if the more damage taken debuff I have right here is actually going to make much of a difference, considering I can only take 20% per hit anyways. I mean, I might as well remove it. I don't really have any potentials in mind that I think I need. I feel like people could do some really neat things with the kind of, I don't know how to explain them. It's like dash canceled attacks. Because you can get some really quick attacks off with it, and you can even turn in the middle of things. It's a really cool mechanic. I just haven't, like, practiced enough to really be able to utilize it well. I might as well pick this up. I'm glad I kind of autopiloted into picking up the potential, but this will help out a ton if you're doing a heavy attack build, where it sends shockwaves. Those shockwaves deal a ton of damage. I hate it when that happens. I think it's an issue with all controllers, but the problem is my confirm button and my jump button are the same thing, and for some reason the game doesn't have contextual inputs. So I went to jump there immediately as I got out of the teleporter, and it just inputted the interact with teleporter instead. Look at this, I can just slide all over Susano. Oh, these potentials are so fun. Oh, is that your counter? Sorry, no, it's my counter now. It is a very nice change of pace of being able to just smack Susano's counters whenever I feel like it, and know that I'm getting the benefit out of it. I thought he was gonna dash there. Hakumen takes down Susano so quickly, too. If you're good with the counters, it's probably gonna be the easiest Susano fight. I really should have done the SP counter there. I'll use it here, though. That was a very unexpected time for me to need to counter him, but I'm glad it worked out. Really, really nice Susano fight there. I'm happy with that. My Susano's definitely, or I mean, my Hakumen's definitely not that great, but I'm really glad I pulled off a good Susano fight there. So anyways, that'll be it for that one. I'm not exactly sure what'll be coming up next in terms of videos, and I'll be pretty busy this week, so I'm not sure. We'll see what happens with Wednesday and Friday uploads. There might just be a Friday one, or there might still be one on each day, but I need to decide what I want to do next, and then just figure out if I have time to actually do it. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I appreciate all the support. It doesn't matter if it's just views, likes, or comments. Anything is appreciated. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.